Peace, everybody. This is Medicine Man, and we're back. Okay, so is what we're discussing today is the classes that we're going to have in Tampa. We're going to be in Tampa on January 26th and January 27th for our boot camp, root work and ancestral rights boot camp. And we're going to talk about all kind of various different topics and things like that. We're going to cover all kind of different subject matters, from mixing formulas to working on your work, how to really think like a root worker. And we're going to have scenarios laid out, and we're going to have roots and herbs and all kind of materials laid out. We're going to be going places and gathering materials, and we're going to go through the processes of properly gathering materials and showing reverence to the earth, feeding the earth, reverence to the rivers and feeding the rivers, reverence to the trees and feeding the trees and feeding the ancestors and nature. We're going to cover all of those things. We're going to cover waterworks. We're going to cover fire, working with fire. We're going to do some fire rituals. We're going to do some fire cleansings and teach people how to cleanse themselves with fire, water. We're going to teach people how to cleanse themselves even in the air. And we're going to teach people how to cleanse themselves with dirt. And we're going to teach people how to utilize various combinations of the elements to design spiritual remedies and baths and things of that nature for people that really need it. Because one of the main conversations we've been having lately is the conversation of people being prescribed spiritual remedies that are general. Now, what I'm saying by that is what I'm saying is there are what I would say baths that are general. A lot of these general baths are out on the internet, of course. They're in books. And these are general baths. It's a basic foundation for you to design your bath. For example, if you're making a white bath for a cleansing for somebody for purity, prosperity, or clarity of vision, clarity in their life, clarity about a certain issue that they may have in their life. So if you're preparing a white bath per se for that issue, I think from just the top of my head, that would be an appropriate bath. So we create a white bath. In this white bath, that's the foundation. So the foundation may be F1 powder, arrowroot powder. The foundation may be, there's so many, the cornstarch might be a foundation. Almond milk might be a foundation. What other good milk out there? Almond milk, goat's milk is a great foundation for a spiritual bath. Coconut oil, a lot of people take it, is a great foundation for a spiritual bath also. But the white baths, when we design the bath, we have to do divinations. We should, as a spiritualist. We should do divinations to find out exactly what's the person's problem and their ailment, especially in the health realm. A lot of times we often discuss issues in reference to spiritual problem, like the ancestral problem, or they may have a relationship problem, or they may have a career problem. We address those problems through divination. We find out where the obstacles are, and we infuse the bath with specific herbs and roots that we have consecrated, prayed over the spirits. Then we add these into our bath. And by adding these specific ingredients, what we're doing is actually designing a bath that's specific for the person we're working with. You see what I'm saying? So in that case, a general bath is just a bad idea. A general bath is a bad idea because it's not directly addressing a person's spiritual issues. So how you do divinations, you do readings, and then you find out what's really ailing the person, what's the person's problem. After that, we go on to finding the remedy for that problem. And our herbal knowledge, and our root working knowledge, and our spiritual knowledge. And we go and we change it. A lot of times in spiritual work, people need medicine. And this is something that has been overlooked a whole lot in the spiritual realm, because most people just want quick fixes. They're just like, yo, I need a quick fix. I want this done, I need it done now, da da da. But ultimately, a lot of people need medication. A lot of people do. They need spiritual medication. You see? They need things that will balance their nervous system, things that will balance their circulatory system, and roots and herbs and medicine that would balance their respiratory system. You see? Because breath controls the air that goes into your blood, and the blood transfers the oxygen to your brain. So you're not going to be thinking at your highest capacity if you have any kind of physical ailment, any kind of physical ailment. So one of the challenges to correcting our spiritual problems and ailments in life is to correct our health. Okay? And this is something that we will be talking about in depth. We will have slideshows and everything in depth, talking about the human body and the magical aspect of your body. Because for a long time, we overlook our body and we concentrate more on our mind, but the mind and body is one. Okay? And so in order to have a healthy mind, you got to have a healthy body. Because if your body is full of toxins, what happens is these toxins float around in your blood. They get into your brain and they affect the way that your brain operates. So you can't think on a higher level. You can't access the higher levels of information that you would normally try to or you would want to. So for this reason, we definitely on the 26th and the 27th, we will be in Tampa, Florida at the Elks Lodge. We're going to give everybody the address. If you want to know anything about it, about my boot camp, which is going to be dope. Going to be dope, y'all. If you want any information on the boot camp, email me at medicinemail21@gmail, and we'll definitely get into it. We'll definitely talk. I got informational email to send out to you guys about the class. We're going to have packages set up for everybody because when we get there, we're going to have everything laid out on the tables. And when we get there, it's just going to be, we working. We got dirts, we got herbs, we got plants, we got live roots. Because we're going to be pulling from the grounds in which we will be around. And we're going to go through the whole concept of pulling from your environment. So we might take a trip out to the bank. We definitely take a trip out to the river. And we're going to get into all of these things on how to approach the natural forces of nature without a spiritual object. One of the main things is within the African traditional religions, and I think that people overemphasize, I think that there's a wave of people that overemphasize having spiritual tools versus having spirituality. And I get it. I totally get it that there are many people that will say, hey, you need this prenda, you need this cauldron, you need this amulet, you need this talisman, you need this bakulu stick, you need this, you need that, you need this. For the most part, I think from a clairvoyant, mediumistic aspect of you're not being taught on how to work with your spiritual tools to develop your own clairvoyance so you can be able to see without consulting spirits. That is the goal. So when we receive spirits and spiritual tools, we utilize these spiritual tools. We utilize the presence of the Spirit in our life. We utilize our ancestors to build our own mediumistic abilities, to build our own levels of clairvoyance, so that we can communicate directly to the spirits without the magical tools. Because for the most part, the more we work with the magical tools, it is to train us to develop our own psychic abilities. But after a while, when you develop your own psychic abilities, do you still use the tools? That's the question. Do you still use the tools after you've developed your psychic abilities? So that's something that we're going to answer. I'm not going to answer that now. That's something we're going to answer in our boot camp. We're going to answer that question. We're going to answer many other questions about making formulas that work for you. A lot of times we need more focus on everybody else and helping other people, but we're going to design formulas that's for you, specifically for you. We're going to teach you how to think like a root worker at this boot camp. So on the 26th and the 27th, we're going to spend all day, all night. We're going to go eat. We're going to come back. and we're going to do more work because there's a lot to cover. So in this boot camp, we're going to discuss everything possible with building your foundation and root work. And it's going to be awesome for people that's initiated into traditions, because root working is a part of all African traditions. It is the foundation of all African traditions. You see? So having this knowledge, having this skill set, when you come into an African tradition, is going to benefit you more than anything else. And the reason why I named this video to be aware spiritually, being spiritually aware, is because when you are spiritually aware of yourself, you'll discover things about yourself that nobody else will be able to discern. You will be able to discover things about yourself that even shock your own self. And what that really means is you'll grow. You grow in a way that you understand that nature is here, but you are also nature. You're nature just as well as that tree's nature. You are nature just as well as that river's nature. Because all of the elements that exist in nature also exist in you. So when you're doing your spiritual work, what you're actually doing is channeling the energy from you into nature and absorbing the natural energies of nature back into yourself to empower yourself. And from there, you can direct your energies in other directions to empower you or to empower others. So these are the different things that we're going to talk about. We're going to build on the concept. We're going to build on the methodologies. We're going to build on the formulas. And we're going to think like root workers. Give everybody that developing mind state to think like root workers. Now, what else we're going to cover also inside the boot camp? We're also going to cover working with paintings. A lot of times, we don't know about working with paintings. A lot of us don't. A lot of us do. Now, 4 pennies, 6 pennies, 8 pennies, 12 pennies, 14 pennies, 16, 20, 21, and more. You know, we're going to talk about what I call the penny oracle. I call it the penny oracle, you know, the bronze oracle. We're going to talk about the different layers of reading pennies, the different layers of it. Because on one side, we got heads, we got tails. Most people look at heads, tails. But you have to know how to read patterns. And this is where geomancy comes in, what we're going to talk about very intensely. We're going to talk about geomancy, and we're going to talk about when you throw objects, any kind of objects that you throw and do divination with, what is the geomantic properties of the layout? Because you can throw 10 pennies, they all can be heads. You're going to say yes. Okay, my answer is a yes. Okay, what else is going on there? What else is there in this reading other than 10 yeses? The pattern actually displays a whole scenery of what's going on. The way that the directions of the faces on the pennies, up, down, left, right, you know, they all tell a story. So what we will do, we will discuss the different stories, that the different directions, the patterns, the geomancy of throwing pennies. And once we understand the geomancy of throwing pennies, it will be the foundation for you to understand the geomancy of throwing bones and the geomancy of throwing almost any kind of organic object. Because what you're doing is pulling on the spiritual energy through the oracle. And for that reason, this is why, you know, many old root workers and old school minded root workers, we prefer to use organic material versus cards. I'm not saying I'm against cards at all, because I do read with playing cards. I read with playing cards. I read with the Metu Netta cards, dope. Also, I read with those for like 15 years. And then I've read with the tarot, just don't, you know, my preference. Just my preference. I really don't care for them too much. But, you know, I've had great readings that I've conducted with tarot cards. You know, it just ain't not my preference anymore. I kind of grew out of it. But when it comes to throwing and learning and all of this, it'll come right together for you once you learn how to intune yourself with your own energies and your own spirits. So working with the ancestors at this boot camp is going to be the most pivotal point of everything. You know, we're going to work with the ancestors. We're going to show people who have Bakulu sticks and Egun sticks how to work with it. Do readings with your Egun sticks. Um, different things. We're going to get into it at the conference, at the boot camp. So it's going to be dope. We're going to cover a lot of things, man. Trust me, it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. So if anybody y'all want to hit me up about it, you definitely feel free to contact me at medicinemale21@gmail. Contact me. I'll send you the information about the boot camp, and we can get everything rolling. I got a few registrations already, and when you email me, I'll give you all the information you need to know on when, how, what, and where. You know what I mean? It's going to be dope. We're going to be down there with our beach sand and our palm tree leaves and drinking some smoothies out on the beach and getting it in. But this is what it's going to be. January 26th and 27th, we're going to be in Tampa, Florida, doing it big down there. We're going to be teaching some root working and getting all day, all night action. You know what I mean? On the 26th, everybody who participate can anticipate that we're going to be there at least several hours. You know, several hours on the 26th, several hours on the 27th. We're going to have a breaking point where we're going to all go out and get something to eat. And we're going to go to some places, some slave ports in the area that we know of. We're going to take some people there. We're going to do some ancestral rites work, some ancestral rites. And we're going to get really busy down there. And we're going to show people about sacred places. That's like one of the main things that we've gotten all away from in America. We've gotten away from sacred places because there are places in America that are sacred to us. And the reason that they are sacred to us is because our ancestors shed blood and sweat there. So we look at places like specific trees in certain places that were public hanging trees for the execution of African people. These are the places where we go to venerate our ancestors and to raise them up. Okay? This is what we do. So we're going to be teaching people how to do that. So when they go in their areas and they find trees and they find places where people have been executed, African people have been executed, then we do upliftment rituals and rites to uplift the spirit so that the spirits can transcend over. Because in our community, a lot of people don't understand, and this is why it's not a good thing for people of other ethnicities to come into African-based religions and to come into Hoodoo in particular. Because the ancestors, when you start working with the ancestors at sacred places, you will start to discover that these spirits are angry. Okay? And I'm going to leave it there. So I'm going to leave it there. So, and I'm just saying that from being a medium. Now, you can get your own take, tell you how you feel and your intuition and all that there. But me being a medium and going to these slave jails, me being a medium and going into these slave ports has not been good experience for me. Real talk. Has not been a good experience. And I would say that these spirits are very, very mad and angry. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. I mean, if you're a Geechee or Gullah, or you live in the Carolinas, you live in the Georgias, you live in Florida, and in Virginia areas where these slave ports are at heavily, and you go to these places and you're a medium, you're almost guaranteed to feel the energy. Many other mediums tell me, man, when they go to these places, I can't go in there. You know, they be like, yo, I can't go in there because the energy is so heavy. It pulls on you. They speak to you. You're seeing things. You're hearing things. So from that perspective, there is a lot of ancestral rites that we really need to be doing at these sacred places to help the spirits of our ancestors and enslaved Africans cross over, to put them into their proper place in our work. Because if you go to a slave jail, I almost can assure you with any slave port, slave jail, slave plantation, you're going to have spirits that's going to follow you home. They're going to come with you regardless. Because once the spirit knows that you are a medium, once they know you are a medium, they will try to communicate with you. Because there are not a lot of real mediums out here. So when they realize you're a medium and you're in the building, They're going to come with you. They're going to communicate with you. So there's things that you need to know as a medium on how to cleanse yourself when you go in certain places, how to banish certain energies away from you, to keep the ghosts and the spirits away from you. So those are things that we will talk about. We will talk about haunted houses. Yes, we will. Because some people's houses are haunted. You know what I mean? I've actually been in a haunted house before. I spent the night in one. It was a unique experience. And we're gonna cover that. I'm gonna tell you all about that at the boot camp also. So January 26th and 27th, we will be having the Ancestral Right Boot Camp down in Tampa, Florida, the Elks Lodge. We down there big, doing it big. And we're going to have a nice time. And we're going to educate everybody. And yeah, Medicine Man will have food and drinks for y'all. Yes, we will. And it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. Going to be dope. Going to be dope. So I'll be seeing y'all soon. January 26th, 27th. It's Medicine Man. Peace. And we out.